Good morning, everybody. I'm Melisa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials. I wanted to talk today about sort of how young is too young. I get this question a lot, and I also get I also thought we could talk about sort of how when we have kids, people just sort of give unsolicited advice, and sometimes that's great. But sometimes it's not. And so how do you feel that? How do you kind of say thanks but no thanks? How do you hold your ground? And first I want to start by saying the only person that you need to answer to in this parenting equation, honestly, on this earthly plane anyway, is your partner. You don't need to answer to your mother. You don't need to answer to Aunt June. You don't need to answer to your father. You don't need to answer to the lady at the grocery store. You don't need to answer to anybody else except for your partner. And so you and your partner should be on the same page with regards to this. And we talk about being on the same page a lot. And I know that's not the reality for a lot of you, but check out some of our other resources about getting on the same page with your partner, because it is golden when you're on the same page. And just the things that it helps with, like everything. It helps with everything.
I have a question. Too young for what?
Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Too young for school, too young for Waldorf. Like, what age should you be starting things? And so, really and truly, what I want to impart is that with Waldorf, with regards to Waldorf, it's never too early to start preparing yourself, ever. So we have families that are part of our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program that started when they had kids that were infants. And that was really a great preparation time for them, because they can learn about the curriculum more. They feel really confident about things. They have their rhythm under control from the very, very beginning. And so I find that immensely important, because when you're sort of starting at the beginning, then you have a nice foundation. You also have a great support group when you're doing that. So if you are coming to Waldorf and you're trying to figure out, is it too young? Are my kids too young? Maybe I'm just going to hang out in the research phase for a while. I would say don't do that. This time, like if your children are in early childhood or younger, this is your time. This time is golden for you to be learning things like knitting and wrangling your rhythm and helping you with your sleep and all of those pieces, helping you with discipline that comes later. All of those pieces it's imperative that you start as young as possible. With regards to like curriculum stuff though for your kids, don't start too early. You know, I know we come to Waldorf and things are pretty and fun and we're super excited about it, but keep the things that should be in early childhood. And those things would be simple stories, rhythm. So when moms come to me and they may have been coming from a more mainstream outlook on things, and maybe they've got a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and they go, but I want to start right now. And I go, okay, but your job in early childhood is to really keep life simple. It's to do things like go to the library once a week, have fun doing that. You know, go to this, if your library has a story time, go to story time. I tend to skip the crazy worksheets that happen after story time. But go and have story time and enjoy yourselves. Have fun. Go on outings with you and your child where you're having a good time and you are sort of letting go of any of this idea that they have to be learning something, because they are learning. There's just very indirect at this age. So, excuse me. The learning comes in the form of stability and security and knowing that home life is safe and that they can really trust you. And so there's that piece of it right there. There's the piece that they get to like have fun, because that's what childhood is about. We get them ready to read and ready to go to college by the time they're 5. And really and truly, we need to let them enjoy childhood. And so really when you've got a child in early childhood, that your job is to just provide a safe outlet and a safe space for them to understand their boundaries, for them to understand that you're in charge and that you run the show. And you can do that in very loving ways by just sort of owning it and being the one that runs the show, by having good rhythm, by being consistent yourself. Those are the pieces of early childhood that you should be bringing into your home. Don't worry about the curriculum pieces until later. Honestly, there is so much wisdom in the starting school at 7 or just about 7 with regards to Waldorf, and that's really it's so golden. It's so golden. And when we see parents that try to start those academics too fast, too soon, 9 times out of 10, because I will tell you my opinion, but it's your child. So I have a lot of moms that'll come to me and say, I know what you say, but she's 6 and she's super bright, so we're just going to start, even though she turned 6 like 30 seconds ago. I go, okay, have fun. I'll support you. Good luck. And 9 times out of 10, they come back to me and they say, we're having trouble. She can't sit still. The stories aren't sticking. We're not getting anywhere with reading. Like, what do I do? And I go, remind me again when she turned 7. When is she going to be 8? Like when? Oh, well, she just turned 6 last month. I go, well, back up the track. That's why. Give her some time. Give her some space. There's this change that happens between 6 and 7, and it's almost like a switch that gets flipped. And so give them that time, that space. Do the early childhood. Our kindergarten stories are so much fun. We have a little gnome character named Super Sam, and there's a great announcement about that. We are going to have a chapter book with all the Super Sam stories in it, hopefully very soon. And so those stories are beautiful and fun and simple. And that's what your child needs at that age. Now, of course, if you've got a child that's really heady, that's been in their head and reading the encyclopedia when they were 4, there's nothing that you did wrong. It's just that's how some children unfold. And so I would say to that you need to make sure that you bring them down out of their head regularly. So you are doing tons of movement together. You are singing and having a good time and really enjoying those spaces of early childhood that are so vital to later on. Because early reading is not a test for how great they're going to do in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Really and truly, it just is that they read early. I think that it's very important that we make sure that we are meeting all of the needs that are not necessarily the academic needs when they're young, and those needs happen to be, knowing how to have some good social interaction. That happens so much in the early childhood, helping them to play. Now, I say social interaction, but please remember that before about 3, children play alongside each other. They don't really play with each other. So if you're worried that you've got a 3-year-old and you're worried, oh no, they don't play with other children, that's not really how play works for most 3-year-olds. Definitely not before that. Before that, they're really about playing next to each other. You're going to see them wanting to play with each other in more cooperative means by about after 3, by about 4, and definitely 5. They're in the throes of play by 6, so they're having a good time with it then. So that's really when you want to be encouraging. So we spend a lot of time in that childhood year, spending a lot of time with friends and learning how to navigate those relationships, because those is such an important piece to sort of really navigate those relationships, and that's something that happens when they're really young. It's something that we have to sort of support them and help them cultivate when they're young. And, when you've got them at home, a lot of moms worry, oh, no, I don't have enough social. And really and truly, if you've got a handful of friends and you see each other once a week, or you go to a co-op, you've got plenty of social, plenty of social. I remember when we were in the throes of a legal battle with my ex-husband, and he was like, these kids don't have enough social, and I was like, really? So I kept track of it for a month. I got to print it out a calendar. So this is, I'm telling you, if you're having a socializing challenge by your partner or by somebody else in your life, print out a blank calendar and write out everything that you guys do together, whether it be going to the library, whether it be going to karate class, whether it be, a church class, no matter what it is, write it all down. You are busier than you think you are, is my guess. And if you're not, that's totally okay too. If you're homebodies and you're not spending a ton of time outside the home, that's really a good thing. We talk about that in Waldorf a lot. We talk about sort of the sanctity of early childhood and sort of staying home. And that doesn't mean you don't go on a walk. That doesn't mean you don't go and visit the library or visit friends. It just means that you are centered in your home life, that your rhythm is tight, and that your child knows to really respect and love that space, that rhythm space. And you don't have to do anything except for lead it in order for them to know that and in order for them to really thrive. Do we have any questions over there?
Deanna Kathiro Hemingway says a couple of things. Waldorf is a family life. My youngest was born into it. And then she says overstimulation is not good. Home play is best.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think that really and truly, thank you. That's Dina. That's really a great comment. I think that we see a lot of overstimulation in early childhood, and parents think that it's discipline issues, and often they're not discipline issues. Often they are, are failing to see that they're overstimulated and that they need that sort of home base. And I have moms that say to me, "They get so bored at home." I go, "Oh my goodness, I have not been bored honestly since 1996. Like not bored." So I would say to that, get yourself a hobby, work on some knitting, find some things that really enliven your soul. Feed yourself. You can feed your soul while you're home. You don't have to be going. And I think that even a strong sanguine knows that's healthy, knows when to breathe in and when to breathe out. And so it's very possible that this is about you and sort of sorting you out and sorting out that need you think you have to be social all the time, and that's why you're on your phone all the time, or that's why you're itching to go out and go to a mom's group. One thing that I would say is going to mom's groups, or like a co-op or anything like that, that is not your license or your time to soak up all the mom stuff and ignore your child. That, in fact, the opposite is true. Those mom groups should be times to connect and times to schedule other time when you have kid-free time if you really want to hang out with other moms. Because what often happens when moms get together at a park and then they disconnect and they're not holding the space anymore, kids get hurt, stuff happens, and you've really got to be there and be not a hoverer, but present and energetically present. And we talk about holding the space in a lot of our other videos and in a lot of our other work. In fact, we have a piece on our resources page that's a free piece that's about sort of holding the space, that's about temperament for moms, temperament parenting. And I definitely recommend hopping over and grabbing that. That's at melisanielsen.com/resources. And there's a ton of free stuff on there. I think that if this is new information to you, that's really a good place to start. Really understanding yourself, understanding your temperament, and understanding what we really need. And what we really need is not more or less this like fake social. What we need is connection that is intentional and sort of working through getting that connection in ways that are healthy. And we live in this time of social media where we sort of think that we have a lot of connection, and just because you have a lot of friends on Facebook doesn't mean you have a lot of friends. It doesn't, I promise.
Oh.
Something else?
Deanna says, I just realized I somehow missed the wooden toys. Graham's Ostheimer open-ended play. The imaginative play can last for hours.
It does. We're in a place where we're sort of on the way out of that, which is sad for me. But it was funny because Soraya brings me this box the other day, this wooden box, and she sits on the couch. She says, I'm done with these. And we've been thinning out the Ostheimer over the last year, just because I've been doing it in waves and saying, okay, so I'm seeing you're not playing with these, so we're going to go ahead and sell them and, buy a house with them. No, I'm just kidding. But they're a good investment. They're a really good investment. They always have good return on their investment. So So we sold them and purchased other things. And so she brings me this box, and she's 7. She's 7. She'll be 8 in April. She brings me this box and sits on the couch, and she's like, "I'm done with these." And I said, "Oh, all right." Okay. So first I was like, "Dang, really?" So I laid them all out on the couch, and laid them so that she could see everything that was in the box. And then she was gone, and she came back. She goes, "Oh, what are these?" I said, "This is the contents of your box." I said, "Okay, we're ready to get rid of all these, right?" And I went through each one. She goes, "No, I don't remember giving you that box." So she put everything but like 2 pieces back in the box and haul it back to her room. And so sometimes we have to sort of get them out, look at them. What always, when I have moms that say to me, "Oh, my kids don't play with X, Y, and Z that I bought them," and I spent a lot of good money on them. So what I will sometimes do, and I am a little bit crazy, but what I will sometimes do is when they're asleep, I will go through and get them out, and I will set them up in the dollhouse or in their like space in their room, and like set up a scene, and then she'll wake up and she'll go, "Where did these come from?" I don't know. Maybe the fairies put them there. And then she'll play for hours and hours and hours. So I love the open-endedness of what we have in Waldorf, because it really does sort of lend to that. And I have to say that even beyond beautiful wooden toys, my older boys loved Legos. And having the opportunity to have sort of like open-ended play was amazing for them. And it really sort of shaped who they are, both of them. And so I find it, anytime we can give them a lot of open-ended play, especially in early childhood, that's really the time. Okay, we have a comment over here. My almost 7-year-old son does the same thing. We'll play with our giving away toys. Yeah, it's funny. What have you got over there?
Peggy McLaughlin says, "Temperament parenting is hard but gives the best results. Study the individual child. No one-size parenting fits all your children."
Yes. Amen. I think I may have written that.
And
No, just kidding.
Deanna says, "Yes, play all day."
You can play all day. Yeah, playing all day is good. No, temperament parenting I think is really important. And if you're struggling in your parenting and you have not considered your temperament or their temperament, really and truly you're missing a huge portion of what you could be doing and how good you could be feeling with your parenting. We have 5 children. They're all different. All different. All the temperaments are represented in our house. And so I have to be on my game so that I can meet each of them where they are. And that doesn't mean you are catering to that child or to that temperament. It means that you are aware of the best outcome and how to achieve that best outcome. And so we all know that when we have people in our lives, so if this is kind of a new concept to you, we all know that we have people in our lives that that we can say things to that we couldn't say to somebody else. And really, that's all temperament. It's all about sort of how do you navigate all of that. And the best thing to start with is learning about yourself. And as you're learning about yourself and then you're starting to look out on the world at other people, it's very eye-opening. And I would suggest that you just learn about them and then be open to seeing who you have in your life that sort of fills those. And I'm not into labeling, but I think that temperament is something that's attached to your soul. And so I sort of sometimes think about how we were as spirits and with these temperaments, because I feel like that because it is attached to our soul, I feel like it's one of those things that's intrinsically who we are. And temperament is different than personality tests or anything like that. Those, I think, tell you some things, but temperament, like I said, I think is attached to your soul rather than your physical being. And so you learn a lot about yourself when you can understand your temperament. Any other comments over there? Are we good? Okay. So I think that's it on this topic. I really wanted to also give you some confidence that if somebody is bugging you about why isn't Johnny reading and they're 4, go bug off. I always sort of, when people are nasty, I return the snark. When people, not nasty, but snark for sure. But when people ask in kindness and they are truly wanting to understand, then I definitely take the time to explain. And I might say something as simple as, well, Johnny has the rest of his life to read. Right now he's going to play. And usually people go, oh, that's not what I expected. I've never once had somebody like argue back with me. I also, like, something that I say when I need to, I'm quite, now not a regular basis because people know what I'm going to say, but I will say things like, well, you had your opportunity to raise your children and now it's my turn. And I'm sure you made a ton of mistakes and I'm sure I'll make a ton of mistakes, but it's my opportunity. And you just walk on. And try not to get hooked by it. I think that as long as you're not hooked by it and you're not frustrated by it and you don't go, oh, maybe that means I need to rethink everything. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you have come to a good conclusion with where you are with your education and how you're going to go about it with your children, stick to it. Don't let some person's comment throw you off. Just let it roll off your back. Don't hang on to it. And I guess really I'm speaking mostly to the melancholy and phlegmatic moms, because you're the ones that are going to like go, oh, really? I should rethink it all. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Just let it roll off your back. Let it roll off your back. Yes.
Oh, Deanna says, I really miss early childhood. It flies so quickly. Savor it.
Oh my gosh, yes it does. It flies so fast, so fast. And you know, you're going to blink and they're going to be 21. And kid you not, I can't believe Harry will be 22 in January and I am like floored. Totally floored. And the things that I worried about when he was 6 and 7, as he's on the autism spectrum, I don't worry about it anymore. So, you know, I think if you had told me when he was 6 or 5 that this is where we'd be, I would have said you were lying, because I couldn't picture it. I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And that's sort of our burden as parents, is that we can't see the longevity of it. So just enjoy it. Just step back and go, okay, this is a huge forest and we're going to walk by one tree at a time. And we're going to take our time and we're going to be present. And I'm going to do my best, even amid exhaustion, to love every minute of it, because it is a calling that you have accepted and you have stewardship over these children. And your job is to do the best you can. And you're going to have days that you fall, and that's totally okay. But that you just get right back up the next day. Like, I have to tell you, we had our... twice a year we take a complete break for 48 hours and we don't go anywhere. As a family, we stay together, listen to our spiritual leaders, and really reflect. And by the end of yesterday, I was really sick as Soraya. And it was only because she's in the hey mom, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom. So some of you that are listening that know that I've had this hey mom discussion with, it can be a little overwhelming after a while. It is okay to say to your child, hey, I'm listening to this person over here. I see you. I love you. I'm giving you a hug. But I need you to just give me a break. It's okay to say that. It's okay to say that. In fact, it's really healthy for you to be able to say it before you're screaming it. Don't scream it. It's really healthy for you to be able to say, I need a break. And it's okay. So, like at 3 o'clock yesterday, I was like, we're going on a walk. Let's get on a walk. And usually they'll say, oh, can I ride my scooter? And depending on the kind of walk, like if it's like I want an exhaustion walk, I want to get it out of you walk, I will say no. We're going to walk. But what ends up happening when we walk often is then she's still talking my ear off. So I'm like, yes, get on your scooter. Because then I knew she'd be ahead of me. And I could take some time to breathe in, like on my own. And so don't feel bad about those parenting moments. Excuse yourself if you need to. Put your foot down if you need to. But you can do it and not ruin them. You can do it, and I'm not saying that I've always been the best, because sometimes I yell. But do the best you can. and get up the next day and try out all over again. What have we got over here? Crafty Mom says, when we're asked why my 5-year-old isn't sent to real school, I just say we believe in delayed academics and smile and leave it at that. Yes, I think that is such a good sentence. Such a good sentence. Because people, the words that you're using, people do not, it takes them a minute. And then usually by the time that they've figured it out, you're gone. But then, you know, somebody might say, well, why do you believe in that? That's crazy. You know, why aren't you teaching them to read when they're 3? And I just generally say, because I want them to have the opportunity to play. They've got plenty of time to read. So this is what we do. And it's funny how the longer you're at it, the less people ask you. You know, some people asked us with Soraya, mostly because she has an April birthday, and so, but usually people were like, oh, so when are you guys starting 1st grade? And I'd tell them, and they'd be like, oh, that's cool. Most people are not going to offer their 2 cents unless you are like opening the door and you can feel it in your countenance. Like your energy shifts when you're not confident in something, and that energy shift is when somebody comes in and goes, pick, pick, pick. And likes to, you know, pick away at you. And yeah, anyway, anything else over there?
No.
I guess we'll wrap it up then. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope nobody is picking on you, but I hope that these words or this conversation sort of gives you an opportunity to, you know, to really be able to hold your ground, be an agent, and stand in your parenting. And I hope you have a wonderful week.